Greetings! Welcome to my page and/or welcome back. If you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell on the icon so you can get notifications. So, this was a video that was mentioned or asked of me if I would do one, which is basically a brain dump on candle magic. I was already supposed to have this up, but as you can tell, the other day I got stung by a wasp and my entire face swelled up. I literally looked like a mix between... Basically, I looked like Buzz Lightyear. But anyways, back to this. Okay, so in this video, I am going to be showing some oils by one of my favorite companies. It's not sponsored or anything like that, but you know. So, anyways, candle magic. If you don't know already, candle magic can be one of the most powerful things that you can do. A lot of people, primarily me, it's one of the main things that I do. I mean, I am a fire sign, Aries here. Anyways, so Dollar General has these right here. They are Magic Light Emergency Unscented Candles. They burn for 5 hours. Believe it or not, I've actually gotten one of these to burn longer, and it burned perfectly. These are $1, and you get 6 in a kit. And then of course they have these candles, which this is currently a storm candle that I do if we have any bad weather. I also lit it last night for the hurricane that was hitting Louisiana. But anyways, let's dive into this. So one of the most common missed things that I see people do, which can be extremely dangerous, is oversaturating this with oil and or herbs. But before I get to this, let's talk candle magic science. You're probably looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? So at the beginning of 2020, I actually got one of the Amazon kits that basically comes with everything you need to create candles, molds and everything. I think it was like 25 bucks. In that process, I learned just how complex and complicated candle making can be. What I mean by this is when you make a candle from scratch, depending on what wax you use, you have to get that wax at a certain temperature to add coloring. On top of that, you have to get it to another perfect temperature to add scent. If not, then the scent will either A, basically evaporate before it actually mixes in with the wax, and if you don't add the color at the right temperature, the color will not take the way that you want it to. But through this, because you do have to learn math, interesting fact, liquid weight versus wax weight unmelted are completely two different things. You're definitely going to have to use math on that. Took me a while to learn it, but I learned it. In the process of this, I learned that everything that you add to a candle while that candle wax is melted affects the way the candle will burn. If you've ever gotten a round candle and there was this weird little like sinkhole through it, that means that the candle was poured before the perfect temperature. After you've added everything to it, including oils, herbs, scents, anything, it will affect how that candle burns. So if you are a practitioner that actually will read everything about the candle, what I mean by that is you will read the flame, you will read the drippings and everything like that, it will be affected. Now, a really, really popular thing, and I've also done this too, because there's nothing wrong with buying Dollar General candles or Dollar Tree candles whatsoever, and I'm also going to tell you some tricks and tips also. But one of the most number one things that I see are the glass candles. People will get them, use a double boiler, melt them all down, and then add way too much shit to it. It causes danger, it causes the flame. Basically, the entire candle could go up, everything. So here are some tips on what to do and how it works for me. So I have my little box of herbs here. So say I was going to add rose petals and an oil. Now, the oil company that I would be talking about is Art of Root. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have like 7 oils. Not to mention these last extremely long. They are also handmade because they actually have like a best use by date. Fair warning, it is technically conjure oil, but Southern conjure is a thing, so you can use these oils and it's not culture appropriating at all. The cool thing is, as well as this company that makes these oils also makes them to where they can be added to different ones to create your own personal oil, which I've gotten this one and 2 other ones that I've also created. Now with these oils as well, before you get them and apply them to your skin, read all of the ingredients because they do list the herbs and stuff like that. You do not want to get anything that you will have allergic reaction to. And then I also have some dragon's blood oil as well. And then these two right here, I recently received from Potions and Lotions. If you don't know what that is, I'll have a link to their Instagram and their Etsy store below. A friend sent me one of their packages, which I'm also going to reviewing a little bit later on today. So yeah, but anyways, let's get to it. So, how are the proper ways of doing candles? Now, before anybody comes at me, this is my practice and this is what works for me without overdoing it and wasting a lot of products. So, say I wanted to anoint this, right? I wanted to anoint this candle. This is important. If you're banishing something, start from here and go up. In other words, you are taking it away from you. If you're bringing something in, start from here and go down. Now, when applying the oils, let's say we're going to use Psychic Intention oil. One of the other favorite oils that I have by them is Clear and Creativity. It brings clearness to the mind. You're just going to need a tiny amount like that and do it like this. And do it like this. You can also do it like this to get it all saturated, right? Now, that right there in itself is basically how you dress an oil. You're also going to get it on your hands, and I know in my practice, I will actually clap to actually activate that oil and set those intentions. Now, when you're doing this comes the herb part and where some people just kind of overdo it. Aesthetically, I know it's very pretty of adding all the herbs, adding wax on top of that, but that's going to make that candle burn chaotic. So, what you would do is you would just get a little bit, and bam, you do not need that many. This also goes with adding it to the glass Voss candles. You do not have to pack a lot in there, even if it is for a deity. A tiny, tiny little pinch. That's all you need. But remember, if you melt down a candle and you start adding stuff like the pearl dust and stuff like that, everything you add to it and the amount that you add to it is going to affect how that candle burns. Remember this. I will also be reading from a book that actually kind of breaks down what the soot, stuff like that means to them. But in general, bam. Also, don't forget to cut the wick. If you don't cut the wick, you're going to have a very, very high flame. And depending on what oils you use, some of these oils are extremely flammable. So remember that. If you do get a candle like that, the safest thing that I can say is take it outside, have a bowl of water, put a bowl inside that bowl of water, and then burn that candle like that. That way you have safety measures completely taken care of. Now, setting your intention. You can totally carve runes into this. You can go back with a marker and do it like that. If not, paint markers also work. Fair warning, that could be a little toxic, so just keep that in mind. Write the runes on there, clip the wick. There's another trick. If you do not like your candles dripping at all, pop them in the freezer for about 10 to 20 minutes, and then they should not drip, but it all depends on how the candle itself is made. Now, with this, you're probably thinking, well, do I always have to use those candles? No. Birthday candles from Dollar Tree. Those work amazingly. They're quick burning, and they're fast. Now, remember, yes, true enough, you doing the spell, you have to set your intention. So everything you add to this crystal, this candle. Say I had a candle like this, and I wanted to add crystals to it. I would talk to these crystals and commune with them and mess with their energies and get them to dance all their energies to line up, including the oils and the herbs in this, and then light it and send it out. Now, some people, this goes on preference about putting them out. I personally either blow, depending on what it is, I will blow them out or use my fingers safely. Some people, though, say that that's disrespecting. That goes on the whole preference thing in general. But candle magic is some of the strongest magic that I've preferably done, not to mention I love it. Another thing that a lot of people don't do, this is something I do in my practice, it doesn't matter what candle it is, I will save the wax to them. And I have my own little stashes of like positive, blessings, baneful, and then I'll melt all of that down and then create one candle from it. You can always recycle your wax, just keep that in mind. Not to mention it's actually not very healthy to like bury wax and stuff like that. But anyways, the book that I would be reading from is The Secret Keys of Conjure, Unlocking the Mysteries of American Folk Magic. Great book. I highly suggest it. Even if you don't practice conjure, I still highly suggest reading this book, and you're about to see why. These are just some ways that you can read candles and what they mean. So, a low flame indicates that the work will take time, Whatever you asked for may not manifest quickly. A high flame, one that stands straight up, indicates that things are moving quickly. The universe has heard your plea and change is coming. A popping flame quite literally means that the candle has something to tell you. This indicates that there's something needing your attention, perhaps something that has been overlooked and needs to be sorted out before success can come. Basically, you need to stop and reevaluate what's happening. Now, of course, always take in mind, if you're burning a candle and you have a fan going or an AC unit going, it will affect how that candle is going to burn. Okay, a double flame can indicate different things. Depending on the purpose, the candle, examine your feelings to make sure that you are not two of minds. In other words, make sure that when you're doing this magic, if you see two flames, that your head and your emotions are on the right track. If not, that can indicate how that spell is going to manifest. A jumping flame speaks of anger. You have to reassist that must come to the surface and dealt with before you can move on, or you could be the anger of another. Someone is holding you back. Sparking from a candle, as long as they do not catch anything on fire, are beneficial. They are displayed of the power from your candle. So if you light a candle and it starts sparking, that means that it's powerful AF. Sometimes the flame will point to a specific direction. That will have a specific meaning depending on the person in general, whether that's north, south, east, or west. It could be pointing towards the person or the direction that person lives that you're doing it. Multiple other things. That kind of goes on the person itself who's doing it. Reading the residue. This is primarily with the glass Voss candles. Complete. Your candle has burned down to completion, success, working to your goal. In other words, there's nothing left over and it's just glass candle. There's no residue on the sides. Incomplete. Your candle failed to completely burn. When this occurs, it is said to have snuffed out by either the opposite force or the will of the spirit. Now, this right here also goes into how much stuff did you pack into that candle? Okay, clean. The overall clarity of your glass candle towards the bottom signifies a positive response to your petition. Cloudy. Your candle burned cloudy, which suggests a deeper need for clarity. Things are not as they seem, and the fog is thick. You need to get that fog out. By the way, Art of Root also has a cut and clear, which is also for that, and also to cut ties with people. And multiple other ways you can use that. Soot. Your candle contains soot at the top, which traditionally represents difficulty in manifesting your request. Commonly, when a candle burns black, it suggests that other forces are working against your will. You may need to do an uncrossing candle. Messy. When the wax residue sticks to the glass in a chaotic form, it is called messy and represents a difficult situation such as to be seen in your candle. Traditionally, it would be said that the proposed activist in your goal will be fraught to tension and difficulty. In other words, it may come true, but there's going to be a lot of mess with it. The lines of wax vertical from these lines indicate being trapped. Now again, when it comes to the lines and how the actual wax itself burns, that will be depending on how you were trained, how you were read, so forth and so on. I don't always read my wax residue unless it's for an actual specific customer. That's when I will reevaluate everything and redo it. Lines on the front. Lines represent hurdles that must be overcome in order to achieve your goal, and those appearing in the front of the candle can suggest problems in your intimate future. Residue halo. The circles of herbs and glitter towards the top of your candle is known as a halo and tells us that your ancestors and spirit guides are involved in helping you achieve your goal. If you are working with any spirits known to appreciate offerings such as food, drinks, or novices, be sure to give them their due for helping you. Resident in the rear, the backside of your candle represents your past, and reducing alternatives to the back of your candle indicates the presence of a past issue. Resident in the front of your candle represents the future, and residents adhering to the front of your candle represents future issues that will affect your situation. Residue on the side of your candle represents an imbalance. If your candle glass cracks in the process of burning, this is considered a very negative sign. When this happens, it is time to reevaluate your entire situation until you get your desired outcome. So, again, this is The Secret Keys of Conjure by Chase Bogan. I hope I pronounced that right. And it's forwarded by Jackie Smith. This book right here is really, really good. It covers a lot of candle stuff. It covers herbs, altars, all of it. So, In general, that right there is basically my brain dump in candle magic. Candle magic can be extremely strong. There are probably hundreds of different candles. There are candles that you burn this side and then burn that one. Those are more reversal candles. Of course, there are candles that are shaped like phalluses and all of that. There are candles, the lover candles. In general, though, candle magic is extremely strong. With that, if you need a specific color and cannot find that specific color, a white candle, just like clear quartz, can be represented as that color. It is white, but in your mind, picture it as the color that you need. You can do the same thing. If you need a certain amount of amethyst pieces and you only have like 4, but you need another one, you can use clear quartz in the process of that because it can mimic the power of this. White candles can do the same. Now, when it comes to candle color representation or correspondences, personally, I've always told everybody it depends on the person who is reading it and what you are doing. The reason I say that, I'm wearing a red shirt or a crimson shirt today. Crimson for me could represent love, power, and lust. To you, it could represent something completely different. But in general, there are major things like silver and gold represent divine energy and power, but it just kind of depends. On the oils in general, make sure you're not over oiling it. And yeah, always make sure fire safety is key. Do not leave a house, do not leave your property with a candle lit because it can spark a fire. There's another thing that you can also look into if anybody practices folk magic or southern conjure, which is lamps, oil burning lamps. I'm not going to get into that in this video only because I want to actually get a lamp, and there is a lot of science that needs to go into it. You've got to research the oils that you're using, all of that. So please be careful with that, and if y'all have any more questions or anything like that, drop it in the comments below. If y'all have a video suggestion, drop it in the comments below, and I'll also get to it and make it. And yeah, for the people that are new here, I am Fire Lotus. I'm sorry I did not introduce myself at the beginning of the video. I'm Fire Lotus. I normally do Facebook Lives Monday through Thursday. You can find all of what I'm about to say in the link tree that I will be posting below in the description. You should follow me on Instagram. I have 2 of them, Fire Lotus and Fire Lotus the Witch podcast. I do have a podcast. I also have a Discord, and I have 2 TikToks, Fire Lotus the Witch and Fire Lotus the Witch 2.0. All of that is about spiritual magic and my life. So if you're interested in any of that, totally join. Also, for the people that did not know, I do offer custom spell work and oracle readings. If you would like any of those, message me on one of my other sites or comment below and I can shoot you my email. On top of that, I am also extending the sweetening / manifestation jar all the way until September the 10th. If you're interested about that, check out my Instagram and or my Facebook, where I've recently posted about that and everything you have to do. So yeah, until then, I hope y'all like this. I'm sorry it's a bit long. I wanted to make sure I got everything in it as possible, and I also wanted to make sure I had candles to, you know, kind of display and everything. But until then, I hope you're all having an amazing day. I hope you're all staying safe. Hope you're all staying cooled off and or warm, depending on where you're at. And until then, I will see y'all later. Peace.